All right, welcome everyone to The Robbers by Friedrich Schiller. Got to keep a number of how many of these play readings. I think this is like the fifth or sixth or maybe seventh, and most of them have been Friedrich Henrik Ibsen. Oh, that'd be interesting. A combination Schiller Ibsen. Oh, those two minds coming together. What kind of play would we have? Looks like most of you have not read Schiller before. Some of you have, and what we're going to do is I pretty much want to dive in. I don't want to give too much preamble about what it is like to get into Schiller, how Schiller is different. I want to kind of let you discover that a little bit on your own. I do have a little bit of a setup, some table setting to facilitate our understanding of several things. I do want to indicate some of the challenges of reading Schiller, and tell you a little bit about why I picked this one and what we're hoping to do. I do have a preliminary question. I hope you saw it at the bottom here, just something for you to contemplate, nothing necessarily for you to answer out loud. When have you felt unjustly treated by someone close to you? Maybe a sibling, maybe a parent, maybe a close friend, maybe your spouse. Sean, oh, I'm glad it's bringing up all kinds of thoughts for you. Great. Great. So you can sit with that a little bit. The images I have here are an early portrait of Schiller when he's like 26, and then first edition of The Robbers, 1781. 1781. And we'll get a little bit of a placement of time. So here's our plan. I want to encourage you to have some paper and pencil. Um, Getting some notes and as you're going along, some specific kinds of reactions that I'll indicate to you, I think will be very helpful. And I'll point those out. So paper and pencil. Before we start reading, I want to share with you an artwork, do a mini art appreciation course that will have nothing to do with the robbers, nothing at all. And then I want to give you some reference images for the setting, and also I do want to bring up if you know your historical and ancient and uh, literary references, you're going to make use of them. I just want to point out maybe a couple to help us out in the reading because Schiller, I'll indicate this, that he does make a lot of references to history and so forth that if you don't know them, you're like, and I'll tell you what, I don't know most of them. And maybe some of you do, but I do want to indicate one or two that will be helpful that when they pop up, you're like, oh, rather than, huh? Okay. And then while we're reading, these are the two things. I'll reiterate this a little bit later on that you might want to take notes on your first impressions of the characters and creating a character list. And I'll kind of guide you through that, but you can jot stuff down. And I've added a category of things to do. The things to incorporate in your character list. You got your name, you got the role, like, who are they in relation to other characters? Are they the father of this person? Are they the king of the country? Just to kind of orient who they are in the character web. Any hints at a personality? Are they jovial? Are they somber? Are they an Eeyore? Are they a Tigger? Whatever. And then I've got casting in there, and this is where you can kind of think of it's going to be a process as you're going through and trying to pick the perfect person to embody that character for you so that you visualize them. But who would you cast in this role? And it might change. Oh, you know what? Oh, Liam Neeson. I think Liam Neeson kind of captures this person. And you might change. No, 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 no. He's a little bit too bright and sunny for Liam Neeson. Maybe some other guy. I don't know. So anybody that you think of that might fit, and then motivation, which is something that might become clear in our discussion after we finish Act One. What does this character want? What are the values that they're pursuing? So those are things you can incorporate, and then initial conflicts, jotting down uh, this character versus this character, the hunter versus the velociraptors, the king versus the duke, whatever it is, just the initial conflicts. Because as we're reading drama, what we want to do is we want to pick up on those conflicts, create the tension in ourselves, which builds our anticipation for what's going to happen next. And then at the end, we'll have a post Act One discussion. Okay. Hi, Emma. Welcome.
Hello,
And
hello. Is this working?
yeah, yeah, loud and
Great.
clear. Loud and clear. Good to have you. So, I've got an artwork here. We're not going to do a full touching the art reading, but I want to, if you want to put a quick title in the chat for this painting, I told you it's going to have nothing at all to do with Schiller and the Robbers. So, what's your initial title for this painting? That's it, just the initial title. Okay. Oh, oh, there's some beautiful lines in there. Okay. Angel, you have forgiveness. Tom, prodigal son returns. Emma, absolution. Oh, what a good word. I like that word. Leo, return of the sun. That sounds like the name of an epic movie. Like, oh yeah, Return of the King. Um, comforting. I love one word titles. Forgiveness? Question mark. VJ, you have forgiveness as well. Watch out, Matt. VJ is going to start copying you for the rest of the time, so you can hide your paper so he doesn't see you across the room. Okay. Uh, and Molly penitent and Rashmi prodigal son. All right, great. Sounds like some of you are recognizing the biblical story in which this is based. Uh, son of a wealthy landowner or something. I'm going to butcher this story. Heads out, thinks he's going to make a big name for himself. And instead of making a big name for himself, he ruins himself and he comes back home to his dad and he says, please, dad, I just ruined myself. Look at how much he is in rags here. And the dad says, yes, I'll take you back and I absolve you and I forgive you and you are back with us. And I would say here, if we're doing more art appreciation, can you find like three details that show how caring the father is towards his son? And I'd point out the both of the hands on his back and the way the son's head is nestled on his stomach as he's bending down, and the look of the father, soft light over the soft eyes as he stares down. And then who's in the background over here? Some people who are looking on, maybe a little bit more skeptically. All right. So I just wanted to give you that painting. It has nothing to do with the robbers. So next up, setting and references. I want to start off with a little bit of why I started reading the robbers. And the way I started reading the robbers is because I encountered him through Caspar David Friedrich. Many of you know that I'm a big fan of Caspar David Friedrich, and there was a huge exhibition for his 250th anniversary at the Met in New York earlier this year, and I gave a seminar and lots of tours. And The Robbers by Schiller came across as for me with Caspar David Friedrich, who absolutely loved The Robbers when he was a young man. And among the first paintings that we have by Caspar David Friedrich, and this is probably his most famous one, are scenes from The Robbers, like he did when he was in college, like in his 20s. Um, and the spirit of The Robbers is something that I wanted to understand more because it seemed to be something that imbued Caspar David Friedrich's spirit, which I love. So that's how I got introduced to him. I tried to start to read The Robbers. It didn't work out. The public domain translations, I went through it. Boy, I thought German was hard. How about German in translation? Uh, so I put it down, didn't pack it back up. I had the opportunity to get into some other Caspar David Friedrich in the spring when there was a performance of Mary Stuart in Baltimore, and I went to see it. And again, I tried to read it beforehand. Translation no good, and then I found the translation that the that the theater group was using of Mary Stuart by Robert David McDonald. And I really enjoyed that. And I said, hey, did he do anything else? And so this for me has been the summer of not Casper W. Riddick, of, of Schiller, as I've read Mary Stuart, Don Carlos, The Robbers, and then most recently, William Tell. So I am a full devotee of Friedrich Schiller, an artist I had not really known at all in my lifetime till now. A couple of other images to kind of get you in the mood. Just a painting here. Apparently, this is a depiction of Schiller reciting from his play, From the Robbers, to his friends as they're looking on and maybe playing the parts, which is a little bit of what we're going to be doing together. And then just a bunch of 1780s portraits of people, not intended to give you characterization, but just to give you, okay, all right, physiognomy, clothing, style, hair, so that when you start to kind of picture like, oh, I want to picture my mom as this part, then you can like put her in a wig and say, ah, that's what she's going to look like. Okay. And then one quick reference that is mentioned that I think is important to bring up here because I think it'll make you enjoy when it's brought up more. Plutarch's Lives. Anybody read it before? Ah, Molly, of course. Yes. And Plutarch's Lives is a biography, but a biography of ancient lives that has a particular purpose. It's not meant to inform, it's meant uh, teach, to teach about the characters of great men. And the way it's set up is it's called Plutarch's Parallel Lives, where you got two lives side by side that are set up together to either draw a contrast or to draw a similarity between them with a particular kind of theme. But these are the models. These are lives as models of how you can be a great human being. So that's just something I wanted to bring up here. All right. Let me go back here and we're going to get started. As I mentioned, I'm not going to indicate many of the stylistic differences between Ibsen and Schiller. We'll experience those and maybe we can talk a little bit about those. But let's see. I do want to bring up just one small punctuation detail. Yeah, a little punctuation detail. Uh, Schiller, and at least this translation, presumably Schiller, but this translation makes use of a lot of long dashes to indicate kind of changes in tones or side thoughts. So you're going to read a sentence and it's going to think, oh, the sentence reads this way, but you're going to see these long dashes and you're going to realize it's somebody's kind of changing the subject within their own mind. So there are a lot of little changes of thoughts as we're going along. So I might say I'm pretending I'm going to use one of these long dashes. I might say, um, what my cat did today? Oh, that darn little rascal of a cat. She jumped over the fence. So a lot of insertions like that. So as you're reading parts, be aware that those will pop up. And remember, as we're reading parts, we're not professional actors and we don't want to be professional actors. We are in this together to try to understand more clearly from a baseline of zero who these characters are, what their personalities are. And we are going to have multiple kind of evolving understandings of them. And that's going to be part of the fun. It's like doing a reading of an artwork where you start off and you're like, huh, what's going on here? I think that's what's going on. And then you didn't notice these details and it completely changes the story. We want to let that flow happen. And that's one reason I don't like to look at the dramatis personae at the beginning. We're not going to look at the character list because sometimes that gives a little bit too much information to spoil some of the reveals that we'll have. Okay, let's see. Molly, you have I enjoyed Theseus and Lycurgus, very interesting lives. And Sean, David Mamet does this in some of his plays, but he uses parentheses. Yeah, yeah. All right, great. Okay, so let's get going. Let me get a quick survey. Who is ready and willing to be a reader? And everybody, no expectations except for Sean. I'm expecting great reading from you. Uh, let's see. So, all right, I think I saw, yeah, you know what? You guys are kind of tiny on my screen. So if you put up your hand for 1 second and I get distracted by my cat, go ahead, say, put in the chat and just say yes. And so that I can have a record and you're on the record. So it's all good. Okay. Now, um, let's see. I'm going to do a new share beware and go to here, Act One. Let's make sure we got everything good. How is the size of the text? Can everybody see that? Have you got it situated? Give me a thumbs up on your emoji count. Okay. All right. Let me know when you're good to go. I've got Tom and Molly and Leo. Okay. And Angel and Emma. All right. And Matt, BJ Rashmi and Sean. All good? How's the text size? Excellent. All right. Let's do it. Um, let's see. So scene one, I'm as I've done before, I am gonna throw parts out. I'm gonna try to hit everybody. If you are saying, "Hey, Luke, what's going on? Did you forget my name?" Let me know. Jump in and say, I love a part. Or if you're like, "Oh, that's the part I'm curious about having this part." Luke, can I have that? I will gladly like take volunteers, but in general, I will be just throwing parts out. And we will change parts up um, as we're going through and as we're reading. I will be reading the stage direction portions, except for the little details about expression. So, like when it says eagerly here at the bottom, I'm not going to read that. But if it's a gesture or an action, I'm going to read that in order for us to slow down and pause and be able to envision that. So part of the reading here is not just going to be to read the text and follow along, but to give opportunities to see this as a play. Act one, scene one, Franconia, a room in Count von Moore's castle. That doesn't give us much information about a set design, does it? Ibsen would have told us exactly where the furniture is in here and set it up so that we can kind of picture it clearly. Okay, so everybody, you got, I don't know, this 18th century castle room of a count. It's pretty fancy in mind. Franconia is a region in Eastern Germany. Okay, let's see. Um, Matt, will you be Franz? And Sean, will you be the count? Let's go.
Father, Father, are you not well? You look so pale.
And you're muted, Sean. Okay.
Not anymore. Quite well, Franz, my boy. What is it?
The post has come. Our agent has written from Leipzig.
News of Karl?
Yes, but I'm afraid I don't know whether in your state of health, are you sure you're all right?
Like a fish in water. Has he written about my son? Why are you so worried? You've asked me twice now.
If you are ill, or have the least suspicion you might be, I'll find a better time. This is no news for a frail constitution.
Dear God, what is this?
Let me first shed a hidden tear of concern for my lost brother. I should be silent forever, since he is your son. I should hide his disgrace forever, since he is my brother. But my first sad duty is to obey you, so forgive me.
Oh, Karl, Karl, if you only knew the pain your behavior gives a father's heart. A single piece of good news from you would make me 10 years younger, whereas now every piece of news brings me a step nearer the grave.
If that's so, old man, goodbye. We should all be tearing our hair over your coffin this very day.
Wait, let him have his way. The step is only a short one.
He
The
sits
sin,
down.
the sins of the fathers will be visited upon the children unto the third and fourth generation. Let it be done.
Franz takes the letter from his pocket.
You know our agent. I would give a finger of my right hand if I could call him a black, venomous liar. Prepare yourself. Forgive me if I do not let you read the letter. You should not yet hear everything.
Everything, my dear, everything, my son. I shall have no need for crutches.
Leipzig, May the 1st. My dear friend, were I not bound by the most solemn promise not to conceal the smallest piece of news I can find regarding the fate of your brother, my innocent pen would not be tyrannizing over you. I can tell from 100 of your letters how much your brotherly heart is pierced by news such as this. I can see you shedding 1,000 tears over the worthless creature.
Count von Mohr hides his face.
Father, I am only reading you the mildest bits. Worthless creature, 1,000 tears. Oh yes, they flowed, in streams down my face in pity. I can see your good old father, pale as death. Oh Christ, and so you are before you know anything.
Go on, go on.
Pale as death, fall back in his chair, cursing the day he first heard a childish voice speak the word Father. I have been unable to discover everything, and only tell you a little of what little I do know. Your brother seems to have filled the cup of his iniquities to the brim. I, at any rate, can imagine nothing worse than what he has done so far, though his imagination in these matters probably outruns my own.
Uh-oh.
Last
Hello?
night, hmm?
Oh, Sean, you good? Testing.
What happened?
We still hear you, Sean. Yeah, yeah. You're still here. You
Okay.
good?
I'm here now.
Okay.
Did I just drop out?
Um, Maybe. I don't know. You weren't speaking
Okay.
though. Okay. Okay. Keep going, Matt.
Last night, having run up debts to the tune of 40,000 ducats, a handsome sum of pocket money, Father, and having raped the daughter of a banker here in town, fatally wounding her fiance, an excellent, well-born young man, in a duel, he grandly resolved to flee with 7 others whom he had corrupted to his depraved way of life, to evade the arm of the law. Father, for God's sake, what is it?
Enough, my son. Stop now.
I will spare you. There are warrants out for his arrest. His victims cry out for satisfaction. There is a price on his head in the name of Moore. No, my lips will not be my father's murderers.
He tears up the letter.
Do not believe it, Father, not a syllable of
The
it.
Count is weeping, weeping bitterly.
My name, my honor.
And Franz goes up to him and embraces him.
Oh, Carl, shameful, shameful. I suspected it when he was still a boy. He would chase after girls uphill and down dale with street boys and bad company, avoiding the sight of the church as a criminal steers clear of the jail, throwing the pennies he wheeled out of you into the hat of the first beggar he met, while we sat at home improving our minds with prayers and sermons. I suspected his preference for reading about the adventures of Caesar and Alexander and other black-hearted heathens to the story of penitent Tobias. I warned you 1,000 times, my love for him always kept within the bounds of filial duty, that the boy would one day plunge us all into shame and misery. If only he did not bear the name of Moore. If only my heart did not beat so strongly for him. I cannot root out my sinful love for him. One day it will rise up and accuse me before the judgment seat of God.
Oh, my hopes, my golden dreams.
That's what I just said. The fiery spirit you always said dwelt in the boy made him susceptible to every charm of greatness and beauty. That openness of soul which was mirrored in his eyes, that softness of feeling which melted him in tearful sympathy with all forms of suffering, the manly courage that drove him to climb 100-year-old oaks and sent him leaping over ditches and fences and rushing rivers, that childlike ambition, that invincible constancy, all the fine, shining virtues that grew in the father's favorite son, which would one day make him a true friend, a model citizen, a hero, a great, great man. Look now, Father, the fiery spirit has developed, expanded, borne glorious fruit. His openness is prettily transformed to insolence. His softness that purred charmingly at any coquette now yields easily to the seductions of a whore. His fiery spirit has burned up its oil in 6 short years, so totally that people say to his face, C'est l'amour qui a fait ça.
It's love that did that to you.
That bold, adventurous brain forges and executes plans beside which the heroic deeds of Dick Turpin and Macheath pale into insignificance. And when these splendid buds are grown to maturity, what sort of perfection may one expect at his tender age? Father, who knows but you may have the delight of seeing him at the head of an army, living in the holy silence of the woods, relieving the weary wanderer of half his burden. Perhaps, before you go down into the grave, you may make a pilgrimage to the monument he will have raised to himself between heaven and earth. Perhaps. Oh, Father, Father, find another name, or shopkeepers and street boys will point at you when they see your son's picture in the marketplace.
You too, Franz? Oh, my sons, you aim your arrows at my heart.
I too can use my wit, but mine is a scorpion. And now that cold wooden Franz, that workaday boor, and all the other things they used to call me, from the contrast with him, one day Franz will die in the boundaries of his estate, and rot and be forgotten, while the fame of this universal genius flies from pole to pole. Franz, cold, dry, wooden Franz, clasps his hands and thanks to heaven that he is not like him.
Forgive me, my son. I do not scold a father whose plans have been disappointed. The same God that sends me tears through Karl will wipe them dry, Franz, through you.
Yes, Father, Franz shall wipe them from your eyes. He engages his life to prolong yours. Your life is the oracle I consult above all others, the mirror in which I look at all things. No duty is too holy for me to break if it is a question of your precious life. You do believe me?
You have so many duties, my son. God bless you for what you have been to me and what you will be.
Tell me, if you did not have to call him your son, would you be a happy man?
Be silent. Oh, be silent. When the midwife brought him to me, I lifted him up to heaven and cried out, am I not a happy man?
You've told me. Well, have you found it so? You envy the poorest peasant on your land for his not being father to this. As long as Karl is your son, you will have trouble. The trouble will grow with Karl until it undermines your life.
He has made me old before my time.
Then, if you were to disown him,
Franz, what are you saying?
isn't your love for him what causes you this torment? Without that love, he would no longer exist for you. Without this criminal, sinful love, he is dead to you. He was never born to you. It is not flesh and blood that makes us fathers and sons, but love. If you ceased to love this degenerate, he would cease to be your son, however much a part of your flesh he may be. Until now, he has been the apple of your eye, but the Bible says, if thine eye offend thee, pluck it out. It is better to enter the kingdom of God with one eye than, having two, to be cast into hellfire. It is better to enter the kingdom of God childless than for father and son to be cast together into hellfire. The word of God.
Yeah, get rid of that Carl. gosh. Doing this to his dad. Sorry, Count, go ahead.
You want me to curse my son?
No, you should not curse your son. What do you call your son? The one to whom you gave life, who now makes every effort to take life away from you?
Oh, too true. The Lord has laid this judgment on me.
You see how the child of your bosom treats its father, exploiting your fatherly sympathy to stifle you, your fatherly love to murder you, even warping your fatherly heart to give you the death blow. Once you are gone, he will be master of your estates, monarch of his driving passions. The dam will burst, and the torrent of his lusts rage without control. How often must he have wished his father under the earth, and his brother along with him, who so relentlessly barred the way of his excesses? Is that love for love? A child's gratitude for a father's tenderness? Sacrificing 10 years of your life for 10 minutes lustful pleasure, gambling away his family's good name untainted through 7 centuries for the sake of a moment? Is that your son? Answer, do you call that a son?
Ungrateful, but still my child.
A dear, precious child whose only thought is how not to have a father. If you would just learn to see things as they are, your tolerance will only confirm him in every vile habit. Your support is his justification. You will turn the curse aside from his head to your own, from his head to your own.
It is only just. Mine alone is the blame.
How many thousands who drained the cup of degradation have been cured through suffering? Isn't the physical pain that attends every excess a sign of the divine will? Should man by cruel tolerance turn it aside? Should a father set what is entrusted to him on the road to ruin? If you abandon him to his misery for a time, he will be forced either to mend his ways or to remain in the haute école of
The
misery.
high school of misery.
And then woe betide the father who let permissiveness interfere with the judgment of a higher wisdom. Well, father,
I shall write and say my hand is turned against him.
both just and wise.
He is never to come into my sight again
That will have a very wholesome effect.
until he has changed his ways.
But if then he comes in the mask of the hypocrite, whining for your pity, wheedling you into forgiving him, and laughing next day at your weakness with his whores, oh no, let him come but of his own free will, and when his conscience is clear enough.
I'll write at once.
Wait, father. Your anger may put too harsh words into your pen, which could break his heart, or he could take it as a sign of forgiveness that you think it worth writing to him in your own hand. Better leave the writing of the letter to me.
Do that, my son. It would have broken my heart. Tell him.
Shall I do that then?
Tell him tears of blood and sleepless nights, but do not drive him to despair.
Had you not better go to bed? This has been hard for you.
Tell him his father's heart, but do not drive my son to despair.
And the Count goes out sadly. Franz laughs as he watches the Count leave the room.
Have no fear, old man. You will never hold him to your heart. The way there is barred, as heaven is from hell. He was torn from your arms before you ever knew you might one day wish just that. I would need to be a bungling incompetent if I couldn't prize the son from his father's heart, even if he were grappled to it with hoops of steel. I have drawn a magic circle of curses round you, which he cannot enter. Good luck, Franz. The darling boy is gone. The clouds have parted. Get rid of these. Someone might recognize my writing.
Franz picks up the torn pieces of the letter.
Grief will soon put the old man out of the way, now to drive Karl out of her heart too, even if he has half her life.
Okay. All right. Did anybody suspect this?
Only toward the very end, right before the reveal.
He old Franz, as he kept droning on, and it's like, well, this is a play, so this is probably something. There's some crap going on here. There's some.
Okay. Yeah, Leo.
He reminded me a lot of Iago in Othello, the way he's talking and he's saying, "Oh, don't let me say this. Don't let me say this thing I really want to say to you."
Yeah, Matt.
Um, Especially the stuff with the letter reminds me of Edmund from King Lear.
Mm.
And earlier on in the scene, I did start to suspect, does he really mean all this stuff that he's saying? But I thought, well, this play is really old and it's been translated from another language, so maybe I'm just misreading all this.
All right, good. And that's a challenge with encountering an author you haven't met before is understanding tone and understanding is this meant to be sarcastic? Is this and also encountering a character that is being duplicitous at the beginning. And I I'm so glad for several of you didn't suspect because then you're kind of, whoa, you get the plot twist. But all right, and Angel, you have friends clearly harbored a grudge. Yeah, there were hints of grudginess going on. Okay, so let's
Yeah, the
see.
laughing
Yeah,
was kind of where I realized what was happening,
yeah,
and that was a cool moment.
yeah, yeah.
Before that, he seemed to be too insistent, but I wasn't clear if it was because something Carl had done made Franz hate him, and so this new behavior is just, adding on top of that. But it was definitely more than just what he was telling his dad. That much was clear
Mhm.
to me earlier.
Yeah, yeah. He was pretty insistent. All right, let's see. We've got three scenes in this act. There's a little bit more here to scene one. Angel, would you like to keep going as Franz?
Sure.
Okay, so you're going to be the show.
All right. Grief was. Oh.
There we go.
I have every right to be bitter against nature, and by my honor, I mean to exercise that right. Why was I not first out of the womb? Why was I not the only one? Why did nature have to inflict me with this ugliness? Had she run out of stock? Nose like a Laplander, lips like a black, oh, eyes like a Hottentot. Why me? I really think she made a pile of the worst bits of every sort of human being and cooked me up from it. Damnation! Who gave her gave her authority to give him all she kept from me? Did someone get at her before she made him? Insult her before he existed? Why such partiality in going about her work? No, I do her an injustice. She gave us the gift of ingenuity, setting us naked and wretched on the shore of this great ocean of the world. Swim if you can, sink if you're stupid. She gave me nothing. What I make of myself is my business. Everyone has an equal right to everything, great and small. Claim drives out claim, ambition drives out ambition, force drives out force. Right belongs to the strongest, and our laws are conditioned by the limits of our strength. To be sure, there are certain social contracts men have entered into to curb the urges that make the world go round. Reputation, a good currency for anyone who knows how to bargain with it. Conscience, an effective enough scarecrow to keep the birds off the cherry trees, and a useful check for the bankrupt in his hour of need. Admirable institutions to keep fools in their place and have the mob over a barrel so the clever ones can live in style. Let us admit, really smooth routines. They remind me of the hedges my peasants plant round their fields to keep the rabbits out while their master gallops his horse over their harvest. Poor rabbits, a luckless role to have to play in this world, but masters need rabbits. Let us be off, then. He who fears nothing is as powerful as he who is feared by all. Nowadays it is the fashion to lace one's breeches so one can wear them tight or loose as one pleases. So, then let us have a conscience made in this dernier
I think it's like the latest fashion. I'm not quite sure. Yeah.
so we can let it out as we grow. What can we do about it? Go to the tailor's. I hear everyone talking about something called family love, enough to turn the head of any law-abiding citizen. He's your brother, which being interpreted means he was baked in the same oven as you, ergo he must be sacred to you. Note the farcical conclusion that proximity of bodies implies harmony of minds, that sharing a house means sharing one's feelings, that eating the same food means having the same inclinations. But that's not all. He's your father. He gave you life. You are his flesh and blood. He must be sacred to you. Another artful notion. Why did he make me? Not out of love for me, as I had yet to become me. Did he know me before he made me? Was it me he wished for as he made me? Did he know how I would turn out? I hope not, or I'd want to punish him for going ahead with me. Can I feel grateful to him for my being a man? No more than I could feel ungrateful if he'd made me a woman. Can I recognize a love not founded on respect for myself? Can such respect exist when that self could only come into being through that for which it is the precondition? And what's so sacred about that? The actual process by which I was made? The animal satisfaction of animal desires? Or maybe it's the product of that act of purely animal compulsion which one would be glad to get rid of if it weren't flesh and blood. Should I praise him for loving me? Pure vanity on his part, the besetting sin of all artists in love with their own work, however hideous. There you have it, the whole abracadabra used to set up some sort of holy fog round the subject, to exploit the timidity of our natures. Must I, too, let myself be led along by it like a child? To work, then. Courage. Everything in my path that hinders me from becoming master I shall destroy. For my master I must be, to gain by force what I can never get by kindness.
Okay. If you want to take a moment to jot down characters, um, and I want to say right now that last speech, Angel, thank you. I get like 60% of it. There are lines in there that are like, whoa, even after having read this many times, that I've consulted other translations to see how to see if I could understand them better. But I'm curious if you had to describe his motivation for betraying his father and his brother. He just went on and described to us so much about who he is and what he resents and what he wants.
So I assume it's because there's this tradition, it's not stated explicitly here, but there's this tradition that the eldest son is the one who inherits everything.
Mm-hmm.
So because he was born second, and he says something about that at least, like, why did someone have to get born before I was born? Or why couldn't I have been the firstborn, he might have even said. But that was the gist of it. Like, if he had been firstborn, then he would have been able to inherit everything, and that's what he wants to get by trying to convince the count to disown Carl.
Okay,
That's
so
that's my
he wants to
inference.
be the firstborn. He wants to get everything that Carl has. That's a great start, Matt. What more? Molly, you have okay, Emma, you had major Edmund vibes from a little bit before. That's probably a great point of comparison to think about Edmund from King Lear, right? King Lear, is that right? And then Molly, very consistent with the book Criminal Mindset by Sandow. Yeah.
Staminow is the
Yeah.
name.
What are you thinking there, Molly?
Well, he studied criminals and interviewed them and came up. He was a psychologist, and a lot of this speech reminds me of the rationalizations that he says are very consistent with criminals. That they divide the world into two camps. One is the rubes, and one is the people that are the takers. And you
Rabbit
can be
Seed
one or the
Masters.
other.
Oh,
You can't be there's no in between. There's no, treating people as equals or the trader principle. That's off the table.
what did he say?
It's
Strength is
just
what
you're either in
rules.
charge,
Yeah.
getting your way from the rubes
Mm-hmm.
and tricking them, or you're being tricked.
Okay.
You swim or you're stupid.
You swim or you're stupid.
I like that line.
Yeah. Tom, you have dog eat dog mentality, zero sum. Emma, you had something that you wanted to add?
Yeah, I'm he's internally really inconsistent. He has respect for strength, and that's about it. And so, but it seems like he needs a variety of rationalizations to separate himself from the idea of family and to separate himself from the idea of goodness. He does not need to rationalize the idea that the strong are meant to devour the weak, this kind of social Darwinist idea.
Okay. Uh, so we've got this idea, right? Dog eat dog, social Darwinist. And then I would say one more question to follow up on that, and Angel, I'll come to you with your thoughts on motivation too, would be how does he view himself differently from Carl, his older brother? All right, Angel, what did you have?
Well, he seems very resentful, and he seems to feel that he's had various things thrust upon him, his appearance, his being second born, even that like regard for his family that he's expected to have, he feels. And so it feels like what's the phrase? You know, he's in a world he didn't make. Um, and I think that really sets the tone of, oh, so therefore I have to use might. I have to take what I want because nobody will give it to me. But I think it really stems from this deep-seated resentment.
Deep-seated resentment going not just all right, I was nature made me the second born, but there's also all this other stuff that's going against me. My appearance, everybody loves Carl. Um, let's see. And Molly, I've sat alone on the shore naked to put me in mind of Odysseus, who needed to use the cunning to survive his journey. Yeah, that's right. He does say, I have the cunning. I would be an incompetent fool if I could not bamboozle this old man. Sean, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, he definitely doesn't feel seen by his father. When he's talking about when I was born, he didn't know who I was, and if he did know, he wouldn't have wanted me or something like that.
Hmm.
That was sort of an interesting reflection to me that
Hmm.
he definitely is feeling like nobody's really seeing who he really is.
Yeah, nobody's seen who he really is, and I like the kind of thinking of it in terms of more modern psychological ways there. Let's see. Molly, you're thinking of religion, family, conscience as impositions, and these are differences that you're seeing between the two brothers. Is that what that is?
I was just kind of summarizing what Angel was
Oh,
saying.
okay. Oh, what Angel's saying.
He's
Oh, right. Oh, okay, great.
they're
Thanks.
imposing on him, even though they're
Yeah, yeah.
wonderful structures that keep society
That's right. That's right.
going.
These structures that are being imposed on him that he doesn't, that he wants to break these fences. Emma, when he was describing Carl, he was using pretty intense detail. Now I know that's not from love, but from envy. From envy. Okay. At this point, it's kind of a good thing he's not seen, for him at least. Yeah. Okay. So we got some contrasts so far. The way he's describing the detail about Carl, he describes how, well, you know what? All these virtues that he's got. He's got charm, he's got compassion, he's got courage. And the way he described that is all these virtues are things that did lead him down to this path. And he didn't have certain virtues that I do have. Yeah, Emma.
He explicitly mentions Carl's sensitivity.
Carl's
Like
what?
that, Carl's sensitivity.
Mm,
The sensitivity that put him into kind of fellow feeling with every creature. And then, he's like, and now it's what makes him yield to the seduction of whores.
yeah.
That sensitivity is something that he obviously lacks. He's a, criminal, a sociopath, or, maybe not, but he certainly has a mentality that's much less conducive to that kind of empathy and that kind of like romantic desire for harmony with the world. Does that make any
Mm,
sense?
hmm. Hmm. Interesting. Okay, so the thing that he's noticing in Carl, that sensitivity, that compassion, that fellow human connection is something that he doesn't have himself, that seems to make him want to view himself as being a part of this dog eat dog world where he has this envy for his brother, that he wants to take everything that he's got. Um, I'll point out a couple of things that are apparent virtues of Franz that are not virtues of Carl. He goes to church. He reveres the saints like Tobias more than he does those heathen antiquated figures like Alexander and Caesar. So he is drawing that contrast. Like I'm a good person. You should see me as a good person because I do these things that people regard good. That's good. Okay, Maliev, Franz uses a lot of over-the-top language. I noted coffin, tyranny. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Leaping model, hero, great, rot, Oracle, 7 centuries. Okay, good. Let's move on to scene two. And let me share my screen again. And whereas in an Ibsen play, we might like just be in the same room of the same house. So we're jumping to another country. Saxony, an inn on the Saxon frontier. Let's see. Leo, will you be Karl Moore? And Tom, will you be Spiegelberg to start with? And then we're going to have a flow of characters and I'll assign a bunch of characters there. All right. Karl Moore, deep in a book. Spiegelberg, drinking at the table. Karl lays the book aside.
How I loathe this century of scribblers when I can just pick up Plutarch and read about truly great men.
Spiegelberg setting the glass in front of Karl, drinking.
You should read Josephus.
The bright Promethean fire is out, and we make do now with a flash of stage lightning you couldn't light your pipe at. They scrabble around like rats round Hercules's club, and beat their brains out speculating on the size of his cock. A French cleric maintains Alexander was a coward, a consumptive professor, with a bottle of ammonia held to his nose, gives a course of lectures on energy. Grown men who faint when they when they father a boy, niggle over the tactics of Hannibal. Boys wet behind the ears crib phrases from Livy on the Battle of Cannae, and whine about Scipio's victories because they have to parse them.
A real way with words.
A fine reward for all the sweat shed on the battlefield, to be dragged around to all eternity in a school satchel. All that bloodshed, and you end up wrapping buns in a Nuremberg pastry cook's, or if you're lucky, hoisted up on stilts with some French tragedy writer pulling the strings. Ha ha ha.
Spiegelberg drinking again.
I tell you, it's Josephus you should be reading.
An age of wet eunuchs, good for nothing but chewing over bygone deeds, mutilating bygone heroes with critical commentaries, and murdering them in tragedies. They've nothing left between their legs. From now on, beer dregs will have to help out the human reproduction.
Tea, brother, tea.
They stifle nature with their out-of-date conventions and haven't the nerve to drain a glass because they'd have to wish someone good health. They lick the boots of the man who brushes the boots of his highness and victimize any poor dog's body they're not afraid of. They praise one another to the skies for the sake of a good lunch and would poison one another for being outbidded as at an auction over a piss pot. They damn the Sadducees for not coming to church enough and tot up their interest payments at the altar, fall on their knees to show off the cut of their coat, and don't take their eyes off the preacher to see the cut of his wig, faint when they see a goose slaughtered, and clap their hands when they see a rival bankrupted. However much I begged one more day, no, lock the dog up, please, oaths, tears, hell and damnation.
All for a few thousand lousy ducats.
I don't want to think about it. I have to corset my will to the law. What should be the flight of eagles? The law slows to the pace of snails. The law has not produced a single great man, while freedom breeds titans. These people wall themselves up in the belly of a tyrant, humor the whims of his digestive tract, and hold their breath when he farts. If only the spirit of Arminius still glowed in the ashes. Give me an army of men like myself, and I'll turn Germany into a republic to make Greece and Rome look like girls' schools.
He flings his sword onto the table and stands.
Bravissimo, and apropos, too. I've been thinking for some time more, and you're the man to tell. Drink up. How if we all turned Jews and started on again about the kingdom.
Oh.
You want to
Okay.
put foreskins out of fashion just because the barber already got it yours?
Idiot. Strange to say, I am circumcised in advance. But isn't it a great plan? We issue a manifesto worldwide, sending anyone who won't eat pork to Palestine. I shall prove with authentic documents that Herod the Tetrarch was my umpteenth great-grandfather, and so forth. That'll be a victory parade and a half when they get back on their feet and rebuild Jerusalem. Then, while the iron's still hot, get the Turks out of the Middle East, cut down the cedars of Lebanon, build a navy, and sell beads to the natives. Meanwhile,
Karl, smiling, takes his hand.
Friend, no more nonsense of that kind.
oh, pooh, you're not about to play prodigal son, are you? A man who's made more scratches on faces with his sword than 3 scriveners could scratch in a statute book in a leap year. Shall I tell you the story of the dog's funeral? I see I must remind you of your own doings. That'll put fire in your veins if all else fails. Remember how the council had your mastiff's leg shot off, and in revenge you ordered a fast in the whole town? They grumbled. But you lost no time and bought up all the meat in Leipzig so that 8 hours later there wasn't a bone to gnaw on, and the price of fish soared. The city's worthies plotted vengeance. 1,700 of our boys were out on the street with you at their head, and butchers and bakers and candlestick makers in tow, swearing to sack the town if a hair of our heads was touched. They tucked their tails between their legs and backed off without firing a shot. You had a whole college of physicians brought and offered 3 ducats brought. You had a whole college of physicians brought and offered 3 ducats to the one who could write a prescription for the dog. We were sure the gentleman would have too much professional pride and would refuse, and we'd agree to force them to do it. We needn't have. They fought for 3 ducats, even when it was. They fought for the 3 ducats, even when it was bargained down to 3 shillings. In 1 hour, there were a dozen prescriptions, and the dog was dead of them.
Pack of scoundrels.
The funeral was carried out with all due pomp, eulogies on all sides for the hound, and we went out that night, near 1,000 of us, lanterns in one hand, swords in the other, tinkling and strumming till the beast was buried. Then we ate ourselves into the table till daylight, and you thanked everyone for their heartfelt sympathy and had the meat sold at half price. Morte ma vie, but they respected us like the garrison of a conquered fortress.
Aren't you ashamed to boast of it? Haven't you even shame enough to be ashamed of playing tricks like that?
Get along with you. You aren't the more I knew. Recall how often, bottle in hand, you have ragged your old skinflint of a father, saying, "Let him scrimp and save as long as I can keep drinking." That was a man talking then. A gentleman that.
Damn you for reminding me and for me for saying that. It was only in the heat of the wine. My heart didn't hear what my tongue spewed up.
Spiegelberg shakes his head.
No, that cannot be what you really think, brother. Tell me, is it hardship putting you in this mood? Let me tell you something I did when I was young. Beside where I lived, there was a ditch, 8 foot wide at least, which us boys used to try and jump over for bets. But it was no good. Splat! And there you lay, and the others hissing and laughing and throwing snowballs. Next door, they had a hunting dog on a chain, a real brute. It'd get the girls by the skirts like a shot if they got a shade too close. For me, it was the best thing in the world to tease the dog whenever I could, see it staring venomously at me, wishing it could get at me, but it couldn't. And what happened? One day I was ragging it and chucked a stone, hitting it in the ribs so hard it broke its chains in its fury and came after me. And I was off like greased lightning. But horror of horrors, there was the damned ditch in the way. What to do? The hound was hard on my heels and rabid with rage, so a snap decision. Quick run up, and over I went. That jump saved my skin. Otherwise, the brute would have had me in shreds.
And what is the point of this story?
Just so you can see, necessity is the mother of true grit. That's why I'm not afraid if things come to their worst. Courage grows under pressure. Fate must be meaning to make a great man of me. She crosses my path so often.
I can't think why we should need more courage than we've already shown.
No? You want your gifts to rust for want of use? To bury your talents? You think your circus tricks in Leipzig exhausted the range of human invention? Let's first try the great wide world. Paris, London. Where do you get a punch in the mouth for calling someone, where you get a punch in the mouth for someone calling someone an honest man? Where it does your heart good to see business conducted on the grand scale. Make you gawp. Open your eyes for you. Just wait. Forging signatures, loading dice, picking locks, gutting safes. Learn it all from Spielberg. And any wet rag who'd starve rather than get his hands dirty, we can hang on the nearest gallows.
And you've done all that?
I really believe you don't trust me. Wait till I hit my stride. You shall see such wonders. Your brain will spin when my wits are brought to bed.
He stands. He stands up, speaking with heat.
Great thoughts are dawning in my soul, mighty plans cooking in my fertile brain. Damn me, I was asleep.
And he strikes his forehead.
My strength lay in fetters, my horizons were barred. Now I'm awake. I feel what I am, what I must become.
You've drunk too much.
More heated.
Spielberg, they'll say, can you work magic? What a pity you never became a General Spielberg, the king will say. You'd have beat the Austrians into a cocked hat. I can hear the doctors. It's downright irresponsible, the man not going in for medicine. He'd have found a new cure for the clap. Why, oh, why didn't he study economics, the bankers sigh in their accounting houses? He'd have turned stones into pieces of eight. East and west, Spielberg will be the cry. Spiegelberg will be the cry. And down in the mud with the rest of you, cowards and toadies, while Spiegelberg spreads his mighty pinions, soaring aloft to the temple of eternal renown.
Bon voyage, on wings of shame to the summit of fame. Nobler pleasures draw me on, in the groves of my father's home, in the arms of my Amalia. I wrote to my father last week, asking his forgiveness, hiding not the smallest detail. Where there is honesty, there must also be charity. Let us say goodbye, Moritz. After today, we shall not see each other again. The post has come. My forgiveness is already inside the city walls.
Bum, bum, bum. Okay. All right. The post has come. He wrote a letter last week to his father asking forgiveness, hiding no details about what he did. Is that the letter that the father read or had read to him? And is he receiving a letter from his father that is definitely going to have forgiveness? Okay. All right. Tom and Leo, thank you. Okay, let's turn over some roles here. Let's see. VJ, will you be roller? Rashmi, will you be you be Schweitzer and Schufterler. Schweitzer and Schufterler. Okay. The two sh sounds for names. And let's see. Molly, will you be Rosman and Grimm? Emma, will you be Spiegelberg? And Angel, will you be Carl? Okay.
Liza and you.
Yep. Here we go. All right, Roller, go for it.
Have you heard? They're on to us already.
They could pick us up at any minute.
I'm not surprised. Let it come down then. Anyone see Schwartz? Did he say anything about having a letter for me?
Something of the kind. He's looking for you anyway.
Where is he?
Carl makes to hurry out.
We told him to come here. You're shaking.
I am not. Why should I be? Friends, that letter, share my happiness. I am the happiest man in the world. Why should I be shaking?
Enter Schwartz. Carl flies to him.
Rather, the letter.
Rashmi, you want to be Schwartz as well? Keep it consistent. Schwartz gives him the letter, which Carl tears open.
What's the matter? You're as white as a sheet.
My brother is writing.
What's Spiegelberg up to?
The man's gone mad. He's got St. Vitus's dance.
His mind must have gone, or he's writing poetry.
Spiegelberg! Hey, Spiegelberg, the brute can't hear me.
Grimm shakes him.
Are you dreaming, man, or what?
Spiegelberg, who has meanwhile been miming a mountebank's pitch. A mountebank is a thief. Pitch in the corner of the room, jumps up wildly.
Ta peur de la vie.
Your purse or your life? So Spiegelberg grabs Schweitzer by the throat. Schweitzer calmly throws him back against the wall. Carl drops the letter and runs out. All of them fall back. Roller runs after Carl.
Moore, where are you going, Moore? What are you up to?
What on earth is the matter with him? He's like a ghost.
Must be great news. Let's have a look.
Roller picks up the letter and reads.
Unhappy brother. A good start, I must tell you. In brief, your hopes are in vain. Father wishes me to tell you, you will have to go wherever your despicable deeds take you. In addition, he says do not entertain the slightest hope of ever coming to whine for forgiveness, unless you are prepared to live on bread and water in the deepest dungeon he has, until your hair has become as eagle's feathers and your nails as bird claws. Those were his very words. He orders me to conclude this letter, farewell forever. I am sorry for you, Franz von Moore.
There's a sweet little brother for you. My, yes. What's the creature called? Franz?
Spiegelberg creeps up silently.
Bread and water, did you say? There's a life now, but I have other things in mind for you. Didn't I say one day I'd have to do the thinking for all of you?
What's the donkey talking about? Think for us?
Cowards, cripples, and lame dogs, the lot of you, if you haven't the nerve for a great project.
You're right, we would be. But is this great project going to get us out of this miserable fix?
Spiegelberg.
Well, is it?
You poor dunce. Get us out of this fix? Your thimble full of brain do better than that? Is it enough to get your horse into the stable? Spiegelberg would be a real horse's arse to start anything with no more than that. Heroes, I'm telling you, lords, princes, gods, it's going to make you.
That's enough for one go, but it'll be a dangerous job. Cost us our heads, if no more.
It'll cost you nothing but courage. Any head work, let me alone for it.
Courage? If that's all, I've courage enough to walk barefoot through hell. I've enough to wrestle the devil himself under a gallows for a sinner's soul.
That's what I like to hear. If you've all got courage, let's hear you say you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain.
I'd have plenty to lose if I lost what I've got to win.
And quite a bit to win, if I won what I can't lose.
If I lost everything on me that's borrowed, I'd have nothing more to lose tomorrow.
Good then.
He goes to the middle of the group, commandingly.
If one drop of heroic German blood still runs in your veins, come with me. We'll hide in the forests of Bohemia, make up a gang of outlaws, and what are you all gawping at? Courage gone off the boil already?
You're probably not the first criminal to overlook that there's such a thing as a gallows. But what other choice have we?
Choice? What choice? You don't have a choice. You want to sit and starve in a debtor's prison till the last trump? Dig and delve for a stale crust? Go singing under people's windows? Blackmailing them for a scrap of charity? You want to take the king's shilling if they trust you for a start? Do your purgatory in advance under the bilious eye of some moody tyrant of an NCO? You want to be drummed out of the army, run the gauntlet, go to the galleys? What heaven? Dragging Vulcan's arsenal along behind you? That's all the choice you've got.
Spiegelberg has a point. I've been making plans too, but they come to much the same thing. How if we all sat down, I wondered, and concocted some sort of annual or almanac or something, or reviewed things for a shilling a go? There's a lot of that about these days.
God damn it. Your plans are much like mine. I thought we could turn Methodist and hold weekly classes in religious uplift.
All right, this is okay. Let's alternatives to being a criminal. Yeah, let's do this. Let's hold some religious classes.
Methodists. And if that's an answer, turn atheist. Blaspheme against the Gospels, have our book burned by the public hangman, and grow fat on the proceeds. Or take the field against the French pox, that is. I know a doctor built himself a house out of mercury. Says so over the door.
Schweitzer standing and giving Spiegelberg his hand.
Moritz, either you're a great man or a blind pig just found an acorn. First class. Great minds really do think alike. Now all we need to do is change sex and become madams and hawk our own virginity on the streets for that matter.
Very funny. And what's stopping you doing all those things? Just that my plan will push you up to fame and immortality. You bunch of clowns, think ahead as far as posterity, the sweet taste of knowing you will never be forgotten.
And be top of the list of honest men into the bargain. You're a great demagogue, Spiegelberg, but when it comes to making villains out of honest men, does anyone know where Moore is?
Honest. Think you'll be any less honest than you were before. What do you mean by honest? Relieving rich misers of a third of those worries that drive away their golden slumbers? Bringing stagnant money back into circulation? Restoring the just distribution of wealth, in a word? Reinvoking the golden age? Getting rid of some of the good Lord's hangers on, saving him war, pestilence, famine, and doctors. That's what I mean by honest, becoming a worthy instrument in the hand of Providence. Be able to flatter yourself with every joint you eat, with the thought that it's your own cunning, courage, and vigilance have earned you the respect of great and small.
And at the last we shall ascend in the living flesh to heaven, and spite of storm, wind, and devouring time, float among sun, moon, and stars to the song of birds, drawn there by instinct rather than reason, where the long-tailed angels hold their holiest of conclaves. How about that? When princes and powers are food for moths and worms, we shall have the honor of a visit from Jove's royal bird. Moritz, Moritz, have a care. Beware the beast with the three legs.
Okay. Anybody know what the beast of three legs is? Don't know, but yeah, we're gonna go to heaven. Yeah, yeah. After we become famous criminals, putting money back in circulation, all that, then we're gonna definitely go to heaven, right? Yeah.
Does the gallows frighten you, you craven? There's more than one universal genius who could have reformed the world, has rotted on the gallows, and they are spoken of for hundreds, thousands of years, while history would pass over kings and princes, if only the historians weren't so nervous about leaving gaps in the lines of succession and wanting to make their books a few pages thicker, their publishers paying them by the page. And if the passerby sees you swinging in the wind, he'll just mumble into his beard about that being no ordinary man and moan about the present state of the world.
Schweitzer claps him on the shoulder.
Masterly, Spiegelberg, masterly. What are y'all doing just standing there? Debased it may be, but what's the odds? A man can always have a pinch of powder by him, just in case, to carry him quietly over the river Styx when no one will look for him. No, Brother Moritz, it's a good suggestion. My catechism exactly. Mine too, damn it. Spiegelberg, sign me up.
You are another Orpheus. You've sung the howling beast of my conscience to sleep. Take me as I am. There's an auction going on in my head. Preachers, quacks, critics, highwaymen. Best offer secures. Moritz, your hand.
What about you, Schweizer?
And gives Spiegelberg his hand.
Here I am, pawning my soul to the devil.
And you're named posterity. What matter where your soul goes? Even if our descent is announced in advance by regiments of couriers, so Satan and company can put on their Sunday best, rub the soot of millennia out of their eyes, and hordes of horned heads emerge from the smoking mouths of their sulfur ovens to witness our arrival.
He jumps up.
Come on, comrades, is there anything better than this? Come along.
Softly, softly. Where to? The brute must have a head.
Who's preaching delay now? Wasn't the head on before there was a single limb there? Follow me, friends.
Even liberty needs a leader. Rome and Sparta foundered for want of one.
Roller is right, and he must have a good mind, a clever political mind. Yes, when I compare what you are now with what you were an hour back, all because of one lucky idea, you certainly must have a leader, and the man who picked up the idea, mustn't he be a brilliant political thinker?
If you could only hope, but I'm afraid he won't.
Why not? Spit it out, friend. It may be hard steering the struggling ship through the gale, Roller, but spit it out. Maybe he will.
If he won't, the whole thing is a mistake. Without more, we're a body without a soul.
Spiegelberg turns away with disgust.
You're a fool.
That's not the answer he was hoping for. Carl enters in great agitation and walks up and down, talking to himself.
Men, treacherous, hypocritical crocodiles, tears in their eyes and iron in their hearts, kisses on their lips and daggers in their pockets. Lions and leopards feed their young, ravens set their chicks to feed on carrion, and he, I have learned to bear with evil. I can smile when my dearest enemy drinks at my heart's blood. But when family love becomes a Judas and a father's love a fury, then manly resignation must catch fire, the lamb rage like a tiger, and every nerve stretch itself to hatred and ruin.
Listen, Moore, what do you think of this? The life of an outlaw is better than bread and water in the deepest dungeon, no?
Why did his spirit not enter into a tiger, clamping its raging jaws in human flesh? Is that a father's heart? Love for love? I wish I was a bear, to lead the bears of the north against this murderous race, to make them repent. No forgiveness. If I could poison the ocean so they would drink death from every spring. Trust, unassailable confidence, and no mercy.
Moore, listen to what I'm saying.
It's unbelievable, a dream. My heart felt pleased, the telling description of my misery and repentance. A beast would have melted in compassion. Stones would have wept, and yet, if I say it, it would be thought a gross libel on the human race. And yet, oh, if I could sound the alarm throughout all nature to lead land, sea, and sky against this brood of hyenas.
Listen, will you, or are you too overwrought? Overwrought.
Get away from me. You are a man, aren't you? Born of woman? Get that human face out of my sight. I loved him more than I can say. No son ever felt such love. I would have given my life 1,000 times over for him. Ha! Whoever puts a sword in my hand this minute to deal this generation of vipers a mortal wound, whoever can tell me how to come at the heart of it, crush it, destroy it, he is my friend, my good angel, my idol. I will bow down and worship him.
That is the friend we all want to be, don't you understand?
Come with us to the forest of Bohemia. We are going to raise a band of outlaws. And you?
Carl stares at him.
You must be our captain.
Spiegelberg throws himself into a chair in a rage.
Cowards and slaves.
Prompted that idea? Listen, you.
And he grabs Schwartz.
You didn't make up such a notion on your own. Who prompted you? Yes, by the 1,000 hands of death we must do it. You deserve to be made a god for that thought. Robbers and murderers, as my soul lives, I am your captain.
Tutti, that's everybody. Long live our captain!
Long live our captain!
Spiegelberg jumps up and then says to himself,
Not while I can help him out of this world.
My eyes are open at last. I was a fool to want to return to prison. My spirit longs for action. I want to breathe the air of freedom. With that word, I trod the law underfoot. When I appealed to human feelings, human beings showed me none. Away with them, then. I have no father, no love, and blood and death will teach me to forget that I ever held anything dear. I shall find amusement in the terrors of the earth. Agreed. I shall be your leader. And good luck to the hero among you who lights the fiercest fires, does the cruelest murder. He shall be royally rewarded. Each one of you swear loyalty and obedience to death. Swear in your right hands and mine.
and everybody
Loyalty.
gives him their hand. Loyalty and obedience.
Loyalty and
Obedience.
To
obedience
death!
to death.
By this right hand I swear to you loyalty and steadfastness as your captain to the death. This arm shall strike down on the spot any man who shows hesitation, doubt, or flight, and I expect the same from any man of you if I break my oath. Are you content?
Spiegelberg paces furiously up and down. Everybody throws their hats in the air.
We
We
are.
are. We are.
Let us go. Fear neither death nor danger. An inflexible fate hangs over us. All men hurry to their last hour, be it on silken cushions in the fury of the battle or on the public gallows in the wheel. One or the other is our destiny.
And they all go out. Spiegelberg looks after them with a pause, after a pause.
There was a gap in your list. You forgot to mention poison.
And he goes out. Okay. All right. Wait, I thought Carl Moore was all excited about going back home and being the prodigal son and returning to his father. So what has made him now want to be a bandit? The promise of riches? Adventure? Freedom?
The fact that he was cast out by his father, well, by Franz, but he thinks it's by his father, and has basically been disowned.
Yeah. Okay. You guys want to take a 5 minute break before we read the final short last scene? Let's do that. I've got 12:25 East Coast. Let's return at 12:30. See you in a few minutes. Okay, just going through the characters here, um, the roles, personalities. Count von Moore kind of easily duped, a little bit naive, but deep feeling. Stellan Skarsgård and Anthony Hopkins, or Anthony Hopkins as the Count. I can see Anthony Hopkins. I've kind of seen him play a little bit like befuddled, like what's going on. Um, the main one for me, Carl. Carl. So for me, I've got an idiosyncratic one. I think of my French cousin who was much older when I was a kid. He has this dashing sweep of blonde hair and blue eyes. And I just saw him. I thought he's the coolest man I've ever seen in my life. So his name was Vincent. Um, and there was a later on a French actor that I came across that also had that same look. Like, wow, he's beautiful and charismatic, and he knows things, and I just sense like he's going to be a Top Gun pilot, you know. Um, but somebody dashing has a personality, but also somebody's like really he's consumed by things. He's like, why is the world how terrible it is? Why don't they see greatness? Why is everybody scribbling? And why aren't they learning from Alexander and Caesar? The people are small now. We need great men. Okay. Austin Butler. Yeah. 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 More than Timothy Chalamet. Um, okay. Spiegelberg. Uh, okay. Kind of like lost in his sauce a little bit. Uh, he would at one point he's like pretending to be a highway robber and saying things off in a corner. Kind of a dreamer. Um, Also a bit of a sociopath. And you maybe Chalamet for Spiegelberg. Uh-huh. I recently rewatched Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't know, maybe like a Johnny Depp bit of a vibe. Um, and then Roller, I don't know. Uh, Throw somebody in who's not too wild. Okay.
So now Carl has two people who are jealous and resentful and um, making plans to bring him down. Although I have to say, after this last scene, I felt like the parallels to King Lear were a lot weaker.
Mhm.
So I still see in King Lear you have a similar situation with um, a father character that's Gloucester in Lear, and in King Lear it's a legitimate son versus an illegitimate son, as opposed to just older versus younger.
Mhm.
But without like spoiling anything from King Lear, because I made that comparison after the first scene, I was expecting Carl to be a more straightforwardly heroic character, and um, at the very least, there's some ambiguity there after this, like, let's start a band of criminals thing. But there's a question of tone here, I guess. Like, how serious are they really about it?
Maybe
Um,
that's one thing we're gonna have to like have a question of for what's going to develop in the story. How serious are they? Yeah. Okay, great. And Matt, I love trying to think of stories that are similar, maybe beforehand, so that then I can kind of be surprised by where it goes differently from what I was expecting from previous stories. So I'm glad you had that. Leo.
I was gonna say that, after the first act, I was expecting, Carl's just gonna come back and then they're gonna hash it out, and the robbers is more of a um symbolic title. Like, oh, they're robbing his reputation. It's like, no, they're actually gonna go out and do this, maybe. So that's gonna be exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, good. So they're actually going to do this. So it seems like um, he did do some things that he regretted. He sent a letter to his dad saying, "Hey, Dad, here's everything that I did, and I want to come back home, and I'm ready to start a life as a great man and be a Caesar. And I'm coming back home." And the brother intercepted the letter, tore that letter up, rewrote it, incorporating I don't know what new facts or putting a certain slant on things. Uh oh, oh, because wait, the brother said it was a letter from like his agent out there. So it wasn't even a letter from Carl. It was like from his agent describing the terrible things that Carl did. And Franz saw that as an opportunity to get rid of Carl. And now the letter back is to Carl is from Franz, depicting his father as being somebody who wants nothing to do with him anymore. And is that accurate? Not quite. He did say something about if he comes back to me and is ready for forgiveness, if he actually is the prodigal son like he was going to be, then I would forgive him. And there is no mention of that. Okay. The moral of the story, never let anyone else handle your mail. Yeah, I guess that's why it's a federal offense to tamper with mail. There we go. Molly, so when Carl came clean with his deeds, Franz could slant it. Okay. And further, Franz could use whatever details Carl offered in his apology to his father and then slant it. Yep. Yep. The messenger has great power. And Emma, you had for roller somebody maybe older. Maybe older. Yeah. Maybe a little bit more tempered. Okay. All right. One final short scene. And let's see. Sean, will you be Franz this time? And Molly, will you be Amalia? Oh, Molly, are you in a position to?
Yeah, I can do
Okay,
it.
great. All right, so let's do it. Scene 3 in Moore's Castle.
You turn away, Amalia? Do I deserve worse than the son cursed by his father?
Go away. Such a kind, merciful father to abandon his son to wolves and cutthroats while he sits at home drinking fine wine, cosseting his moldering limbs in cushions of down. His great noble son may be dying. You're inhuman monsters, disgraced to humanity. His only son.
I thought he had two.
Oh, yes, he deserves to have sons like you. On his deathbed, he will stretch his feeble hands out in vain for his Karl and draw them back in horror at the icy clutch of Franz. Oh, it is a fine and noble thing to earn a father's curse. What does one have to do, Franz? Good brotherly soul. What must one do to make him curse one?
You're dreaming, my love. I'm sorry for you.
Oh, please. Are you sorry for your brother? No, you monster. You hate him. So do you hate me as well?
I love you as I love myself, Amalia.
I wonder how meaningful that is. Molly, there's a bit of background noise. I'm going to switch
Okay,
roles. That
switching it.
is. Thanks. Let's see. Emma, will you take it up? Okay. I love you as I love myself, Amalia. Oof. And Angel, I'm recalling the self-loathing that you mentioned that he might have. Okay. Go ahead, Amalia.
If you love me, could you refuse to do something for me?
Nothing, nothing, if it is no more than my life.
If only that is true. Just one request, one you could so easily, so happily carry out. Hate me. It makes me blush scarlet to think of Carl, and in the same moment to think that you do not hate me. You promise then. Now leave me, I long to be alone.
You dear dreamer, how I adore that soft, loving heart.
And he taps her on the breast.
Here Karl reigned like a god in his temple, stood before you when you were awake, ruled over your dreams. All creation seemed summed up in him, reflected in him, echoed in him alone.
I admit it. In spite of you, barbarians, I confess it to the world. I love him.
How cruel, how inhuman of him to reward such love like that, to forget the woman who.
She starts up.
What? Forget me?
Did you not put a diamond ring on his finger? A pledge of your fidelity? But how can a young man resist the charms of a courtesan? Who would blame him either, since he has nothing else to give? And surely her caresses repaid him for it with interest.
My ring to a courtesan?
Tut tut now, it was shameful, if it only that were all. A ring, however precious, can finally be had from any Jew. Maybe he didn't like the setting. Maybe he traded it for it. Maybe he traded it in for one that he liked better.
But my ring? My ring?
None other, Amalia. Such a stone on my finger from Amalia, death itself could not have torn it from me. Isn't that right, Amalia? It's not the price of the stone, nor the skill of the workmanship gives it value. It's love. Dearest child, are you crying? A curse on the man who is the cause of these precious drops falling from those heavenly eyes. Oh, if you knew everything, if you were to see him in his present state.
Monster, what do you mean his present state?
Hush, sweetest girl, do not ask me. If it were at least a veil to hide that filthy vice from the world, but it's too appallingly obvious in the livid circles round the eyes. It betrays itself in the sunken cheeks and hidden prominent bones. You can hear it in the barely audible, distorted voice. The tottering frame proclaims it with horrific clarity. It eats away in the very marrow of the bones and destroys the strength from his young manhood. The suppurating, corroding matter bursts from his forehead, his cheeks, his mouth. His whole body is covered in disgusting sores, nested in the crevices of animal disgrace. Ugh! You remember that poor creature who coughed his life out of our infirmary? How the modest glance of shame turned away from him. You wept for him in pity. Recall the sight, and it could be Carl. His kisses are pestilent. His lips would poison yours.
She slaps his face.
Liar, shameless liar.
Oh. Frighten you, Carl, like that? Does it? Disgusted at my weak description? Go and see him for yourself, you handsome, angelic, godlike Carl. Suck in his scented breath. Bury yourself in his sweetness that comes out of his mouth. The merest breath would put you in the same swoon as rotting carrion on corpse-littered battlefield.
Amalia turns away from him.
Such a surge of love, a joy in his embrace. But it is not unfair to condemn a man for his disease. Oh, but is it not unfair to condemn a man for his diseases, for his outside? In the most repulsive cripple, a generous soul may shine like a ruby in the mud.
He smiles maliciously.
The most postulant lips can still breathe love. Of course, when vice shakes the foundation of the character, when virtue takes flight along with restraint, as the scent fades from the blown rose, when the spirit is crippled along with the body.
Amalia springs up.
Oh, Carl, I can see you again. It was all lies. Don't you know, you foul creature, my Carl could never become like that?
Franz stands thinking for a moment, then turns suddenly and starts to go.
Why such a hurry? Are you trying to escape your own shame?
Franz hides his face.
Let me go. Let my tears flow freely, tyrants of a father, to abandon the best of your sons to wretchedness, to shame on all sides. Let me go, Amalia. I'll fall at his feet, implore him on my knees to let me take on the curse he spoke, disinherit me, blood, life, everything.
Amalia puts her arms around his neck.
You are my Carl's brother, dear good Fawn.
Oh, Amalia, how I love you for your unshakable constancy to my brother. Forgive me for putting it to so hard a proof. How perfectly you have justified my hopes, with your tears, your sighs, your heavenly indignation. For me, too, our souls were always well attuned.
No, they were never that.
Ah, they were in such harmony. I used to think we must be twins, but for the unfortunate physical dissimilarity, where I must, alas, confess myself the loser, we could so often have been taken for one another. I often said to myself, "You are Carl to the, you are Carl to the life, his echo, his image."
She shakes her head.
No, no, by that chaste light of heaven, not one drop of blood, not one spark of him.
So alike in our inclinations, the rose was his favorite flower. What flower did I rate above the rose? He loved music, and you stars could bear witness, who would who would have so often be in the dead stillness of the night heard me at the piano. Can you still doubt, Amalia, when our love came together? If love is a single complete whole, can her children be any different?
Amalia looks at him, consternation.
It was a still summer evening the night before he left for Leipzig. He took me to the arbor where you and he had sat so often, dreaming of love. For some time, nothing was said. Finally, he took my hand, and his voice was soft and tearful. I'm leaving Amalia. I fear it may be forever. Do not abandon her, brother. Be her friend, if her Carl should not return.
He falls down in front of her and kisses her hand violently.
Never, never, never. He will never come back. And I promised him with a sacred oath.
Amalia just withdraws hastily.
Traitor, I found you out in this very arbor. He made me promise to love nobody else, even if he were to die. You see, how blasphemous, how monstrous. Get out of my sight.
You do not know me, Amalia. You really do not know me.
Oh, I know you all right. From this moment, I really know you. And you wanted to be his equal? You say he wept to you for my sake, to you? He would sooner have carved my name on the pillory. Leave me this instant.
You insult me.
I said, leave me. You have stolen a precious hour from me. I hope your life is shortened by that much.
You hate me.
I despise you. Leave me.
Ren stamps his foot.
Wait. I will put fear into you. Sacrifice me to a beggar?
And he leaves in anger.
Go away, foul-minded brute. Now I am with Carl again. Beggar, did he say? Then the world has turned upside down. Beggars are kings, and kings are beggars. I would not change the rags he wears for the purple robes of God's anointed. The look with which he begs must be the look of a king, a look to annihilate the pomp and circumstance of the rich and powerful. Worthless jewel, down with you into the dust.
She tears the necklace from her throat.
You, the great and powerful, it shall be your sentence to wear gold and silver and precious gems, to devour your sumptuous feast, to loll on soft cushions of ease. Carl, Carl, now I am worthy of you.
And she goes out. End of Act 1. What do you think of Amalia?
I like how she saw through his deception. You called him out more than once.
Yeah, I kind of thought that eventually he'd warp her too, but made of stronger stuff.
Were there a couple moments where she was almost believing him? I had a hard time understanding which lines were her disagreeing with him and her agreeing with him at times.
There's one moment that I'm remembering where he changes tactics and he says, "Oh, the dad was so wrong to have condemned this good man. I'm gonna go to my dad and try to help him, to try to speak on his behalf." And at that moment, she puts her arms around him and says, "You're a good, loving brother." But then he tries to use that to his advantage, and he says, "I'm so glad you know what I'm sorry to put you to the test, but now I see how much you love Carl, and that's what I wanted to see. And now I got to tell you about this oath that he made me promise. He loved you so much, he asked me to look after you." and that he was leaving, then that I needed to look after you. And she's like, bullshit. No, he made me an oath that I should love him forever, no matter what, even if he died. So get out of here. I despise you. I see right through you. Uh, well, we were speaking about whether or not anybody sees him. For who he is.
Revising my assessment of Franz's deception skills.
Oh yeah. Yep. Okay. So poor Count von Moore. His naivete is coming into focus, but also her steadfastness and her BS detector is pretty strong. Okay, Molly, I'm reading a few things you've got. Franz could use whatever details Carl offered in his apology to his father, and then slanted. Yeah, yeah. Oh, got that from before. For a second, it seemed like Franz had some sincere regret. Yeah. He stops because he sees he's not getting any headway, so he stops to think about, what am I going to do next? How am I going to navigate this? She's definitely not interested in me. Okay. All right. He's close enough to touch her breast, and then she hugs him. And then she like gets away from him. So yeah. All right. What I'd like to do with these acts is two things after I finish reading an act, and this is what I'd recommend when you read 2, 3, and 4. Immediately right off the bat, give the act a title. Like, like giving a painting a title, your first impression. What was that act about? You're not trying to perfect it, just what your subconscious is telling you that you just experienced. And if you want to put something down in the chat real quick, like what would be your title for that act? Mine right off the bat is just like two brothers. But that's a starting point. Always want to have a starting point. Emma, you've got Shell Game, Angel, Plans, Tom, Treacherous Brother. And the second thing, after just an initial quick title, is to quickly just open up the subconscious floodgates and let out a sentence that sums up what happened in this act. Molly, you have two robbers, one false, the other honest. Leo, the war of words and letters. Okay, I'm going to go back. Okay, I'm just following up and looking at things here. Angel, you have Franz tries to deceive his father and beloved, while Carl, in despair, turns to a life of crime. All right, wonderful. Emma, a variety of cons are planned and perpetrated for moral and immoral reasons. Oh, I'd challenge you, Emma, to incorporate the characters into what you're thinking about that. So your next sentence after that would be, okay, who am I making my main character? Okay, Leo, you've got Carl's Jealous People collection. VJ Nashmi, rebellion and treachery. Molly, a younger brother turns his father against his older brother, but fails to woo away the beloved from him. All right, great start. Great start. The one part, Molly, that I'd want to make sure to incorporate there is the decision by the older brother of what he's going to do next, because his father has been wooed away from him. Tom Carl, as an yet returned prodigal son, has his repentance thwarted by his scheming brother Franz. Oh, that's interesting. And you're making Carl the focus there. Okay. You can play around with that. We just have a few more minutes, so I want to just offer up a few more little details of things to think about. Oh, who would you have as Amalia if you're casting? Um, that would be fun to think about. And remember, you don't have to have the perfect person to start with. Try somebody out. Have auditions. Okay. All right. Let's see. Keira Knightley, you want to audition? Scarlett Johansson. I don't know. Maybe younger than Scarlett Johansson from what I saw her in the Jurassic movie. Oh, so you could think about that. Okay. Angel, Keira Knightley always strikes you as perceptive and determined. Emma, you have the scoundrel Franz wearing a mask of decency, casts his decent brother in the mask of a scoundrel. Oh, that's helpful. And what I really like is the flipping of roles that you're implying there and the juxtaposition. Yeah. Leo, the adventurous son of a wealthy count is tricked into thinking his father has abandoned him and declares vengeance on contemporary society by becoming a robber. He does declare vengeance. I'd even stress it further than that. He declares vengeance on humanity. You show your human face to me. Meanwhile, the brother who destroyed his reputation is trying to seduce his lover. Okay. I want to skip to the bottom one right here. If you want to tackle that. Questions you have about what will happen next. So someone already brought up the question, how criminal is this criminal gang going to get? What are they going to do? Are they just going to like steal from the rich and give to the poor? A little bit like Spiegelberg was suggesting? Or is there going to be murder and rape? Will Carl become the person that he was made out to be in that letter? A murderer, a rapist? Okay. And what other questions do you have? Okay, Molly, I'd like to see more of the good in Carl. We're kind of taking it on faith based on Amalia and his father's love for him. Yeah, that's a good question. What's good about Carl? What's good about Carl? And then will we see more of good in Carl? Okay. Matt, do you have Amalia knows Franz is a liar? Will she talk with a count about this? Ooh, I like that domino question. Is that a domino that will fall? Leo, will Franz find a way to trick Amalia? Will the count learn the truth? Will Roller get to start his church group? Of course, we need to know that. Yes. Try out the Methodists first, and then if that doesn't work, you can be atheists. Okay. All right. Or rogue Methodists. Matt, you have what is Spiegelberg going to do to try to take down Carl? Okay. VJ and Rashmi, will Carl finally see his father? Yeah, and then there are implied questions in that too. Angel also, will Carl learn Spiegelberg's treacherous intent? Yes, because the enemy for Carl is not Franz. The enemy is his father. Will we get a moment like in the painting? Oh, that's what he dreamed of, right? That's what he was thinking he was going to get. Or did it really have nothing to do with this play? Well, it was mentioned, right? It was mentioned. It was briefly as a reference, wasn't it? Spiegelberg said, "Are you turning into a prodigal son? Can we ever trust Luke?" All right, we'll find out next week. So your job is to read Acts 2, 3, and 4. You have scars, VJ. Too. Emotional scars. Oh man. Oh, what was it? It was which Ibsen play was it that you still have scars from? On your birthday? on your birthday, VJ? Yeah, ghosts. Yeah. Okay. Good. And I want to encourage you to jot a title down and to have a sentence for each act that will help you be the narrator for the play. Any final thoughts? Anything you'll get off your chest? Any observations before we call it a day? All right, everyone. Thank you very much. Wonderful reading. Enjoy it a lot, and I'll see you guys next week.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Luke.
Everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.